And if you want to work at a public agency or just in urban planning in general, I would just kind of look at who's doing it, because there's also private sector, which I didn't really think was for me, but it is for a lot of people, and you can do a lot of cool stuff in urban planning there. So AECOM would be a cool company to look into, AECOM, as well as Deloitte. We had them working on us as consultants for a certain project, and Deloitte has a number of, they have so much going on, but somewhere cool to look into. You don't think of them first when you think of urban planning, but it's somewhere to check out. And then there's also, we worked with Baker Tilly as well. So again, they do an array of stuff. They have public accountants, they have all kinds of things, but again, they also do have people that help us with our data. So just seeing what's out there, what's possible, and thinking about whether or not you would want to go private or public. And I know people at my job who have done both, who have been consultants and then gone to public and then gone back to private. And you know, there's a lot of differences between them, and understanding that can really inform your career path.
Do you want to take a couple minutes just to speak briefly on what the biggest differences are between public and private?
Sure. I mean, I haven't necessarily worked in the private sector as far as
to the best of your understanding, from your public sector perspective.
My public sector perspective, I mean, I'll be very candid. Private sector will probably pay you more, but you will probably have longer hours and a less flexible budget and schedule. So what's really cool about working in the public sector is, one, I get a cool pension, so that's fun. My retirement is taken care of, and honestly, they do have pretty competitive salaries. Like, I mean, this is the most money I've ever made, but I would say be aware that you might be making less, but they're normally able to compete, especially if you have another offer from somewhere else. But what's cool about us is that we don't really have the same economic incentives as private companies. So private companies are trying to make money. They're trying to meet a bottom line, and they can do some really cool, really efficient stuff. And they have really strong teams, big teams, where you can kind of get your hands all over a lot of stuff. Whereas in the public sector, we have a little bit more wiggle room. We get tax dollars, so it's not like, oh, we make the Chicago Metropolitan Agency unhappy, or the Chicago Metropolitan area people unhappy, and then we'll take back our money. We have their money, and we have cool federal grants that we're working with the state government and the federal government with. So I think one of the biggest differences is just having kind of that flexibility in the public sector to be a little bit slower on projects, do the more research, more analysis, really see it to fruition, and even take time to learn, is a really cool involved in there. And also just meeting public officials, I think is really cool. You're not going to really meet them in the private sector. You'll meet like CEOs maybe, but like meeting like mayors and people who work for like the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Transportation Administration. You know, these are people who are pretty big in Washington, D.C. even. I think that's a really cool opportunity. But yeah, basically, to summarize that all up, at a public sector job, you're going to be doing the work, you're going to have more time, and you're going to see the plan from start to finish to implementation, everything. In the private sector, you'll be able to make the plan, consult someone on it. A lot of it's going to be consultancy, and then someone else is going to take it to actually do it. So